Nelson Mandela stands as one of the most iconic figures of the 20th century, celebrated worldwide as a hero of the anti-apartheid struggle and a symbol of peace and reconciliation. However, behind this public image lie lesser-known aspects of his life and South Africa's history that deserve exploration. This video aims to provide a fuller picture, uncovering hidden truths and debunking some popular myths about Mandela and his impact on the nation. To truly understand Mandela's legacy, we must start with the historical context in which he emerged as a leader. For much of the 20th century, South Africa was marked by a brutal system of racial segregation known as apartheid. This system institutionalized discrimination against the black population, creating deep inequalities and social tensions. Mandela, a lawyer and political activist, became a central figure in the fight against these injustices, but his journey was complex and fraught with challenges. Nelson Mandela was born in 1918 in a small village in the Transkei region of South Africa, into a family of Thembu nobility. From an early age, he was exposed to the injustices of the colonial system and the resistance traditions of his people. His formal education and early encounters with African political leaders profoundly shaped his worldview and steered him toward the fight against racial oppression. In the 1940s, Mandela joined the African National Congress ANC and quickly rose through its ranks. He helped found the ANC Youth League, promoting a more radical approach to challenging apartheid. Throughout the 1950s, Mandela took part in civil disobedience campaigns and peaceful resistance, repeatedly facing arrest and surveillance by the South African government. The turning point came in 1961 when Mandela, recognizing the limitations of nonviolent resistance in the face of brutal repression, co-founded the ANC's military wing, Umkhonto we Sizwe, the Spear of the Nation. Mandela's arrest in 1962 marked the beginning of a dark period for him and the anti-apartheid movement. Sentenced to life imprisonment in 1964, he spent 27 years behind bars, most of them on Robben Island. During these years, Mandela became a global symbol of resistance, and his imprisonment galvanized the anti-apartheid movement both inside and outside South Africa. His leadership, even from prison, and his steadfast commitment to principles of just struggle and reconciliation were crucial to the eventual dismantling of apartheid. To fully grasp Mandela's legacy, it's essential to examine both his triumphs and the controversies that surround him. What were the events and influences that shaped his leadership? How did he navigate the political and social complexities of his time? And what are the truths about Mandela that remain little known or misunderstood? These are some of the questions we will address in this video, offering a more nuanced view of Mandela and his enduring impact on South Africa. Nelson Mandela is widely celebrated as a champion of peace and reconciliation, but it's important to remember that his journey began with a belief in armed struggle as a necessary form of resistance against apartheid. In the early 1960s, Mandela co-founded Umkhonto we Sizwe, the ANC's military wing, which carried out acts of sabotage against the South African government. These acts aimed to undermine the apartheid infrastructure without causing deaths, reflecting an effort to balance active resistance with humanitarian principles. The decision to resort to armed struggle came after years of unsuccessful attempts at peaceful resistance and negotiations. Mandela and his colleagues realized that the brutality of the apartheid regime would not easily yield to peaceful protests. Despite this, he always maintained that armed struggle was a temporary measure, necessary only until meaningful dialogue could be established. Mandela's true transformation into a global symbol of peace and reconciliation occurred during his years of imprisonment. Over his 27 years in prison, Mandela had time to reflect on the effectiveness of armed struggle and the possibilities for a peaceful future for South Africa. His ability to negotiate the transition to a multiracial democracy and his commitment to reconciliation were crucial to the post-apartheid stability of the country. The public image of Nelson Mandela often portrays him as a flawless figure, an untouchable hero of the struggle for justice. However, like any human being, Mandela had his imperfections and made mistakes throughout his life. Before his imprisonment, his political decisions, including the formation of Umkhonto we Sizwe and the use of armed struggle, were controversial and divisive, both within and outside the ANC. During his presidency, Mandela faced monumental challenges in trying to unify a deeply divided nation. His economic and social policies were not always successful or popular. The implementation of the Reconstruction and Development Program REDP, for example, faced numerous difficulties and criticism for not quickly achieving its goals of reducing poverty and inequality. Exploring these nuances is crucial for understanding the complexity of his leadership. Mandela was a pragmatic leader, willing to make difficult and sometimes unpopular decisions to achieve his long-term goals. Recognizing his flaws and human limitations allows for a deeper and more realistic appreciation of his legacy, showing that even great leaders face challenges and make mistakes on the path to change. The common narrative suggests that Nelson Mandela was freed from prison due to international pressure and a South African government finally recognizing the injustice of its actions. However, the reality is more complex. Mandela's release was the result of lengthy and difficult negotiations between the apartheid government and ANC leaders. These negotiations started secretly and gradually became public, reflecting a slow but significant shift in South African politics. Mandela played an active role in these negotiations even while in prison. He understood the importance of a peaceful transition and was willing to make concessions to avoid civil war. His insistence on negotiating directly with the apartheid government demonstrated his commitment to peace and democracy, even when facing opposition from more radical factions within the anti-apartheid movement. Mandela's release in 1990 was a crucial milestone, but it was also the beginning of an even more complex process of building a new South Africa. His ability to maintain open dialogue and his appeal for reconciliation were essential in ensuring a relatively peaceful transition. This pragmatic and conciliatory approach laid the groundwork for the democratic elections of 1994 and the formation of a multiracial society. After completing his term as president of South Africa, Nelson Mandela remained an influential figure both nationally and internationally. He dedicated much of his time and effort to global causes, such as the fight against AIDS, becoming a powerful voice in raising awareness and combating the pandemic. The creation of the Nelson Mandela Foundation also reflects his ongoing commitment to social justice and equality. However, Mandela's political influence within South Africa waned over time. He faced criticism for not addressing economic and social issues more assertively that persisted after the end of apartheid. Poverty and inequality remained significant challenges, and some argued that his conciliatory policies were not effective enough in promoting rapid and profound changes. Despite these criticisms, Mandela's global impact remained immense. He continued to inspire leaders and activists worldwide, demonstrating that the struggle for justice and equality is a continuous process. Mandela's ability to use his moral authority to influence policies and promote peace solidified his legacy as one of the great leaders of contemporary history. Nelson Mandela's relationship with the ANC African National Congress was complex and multifaceted. While he was a prominent leader of the party, there were moments of tension and disagreement. From his early days of membership, Mandela worked tirelessly to promote the ANC's goals, but his ideas and strategies were not always unanimously agreed upon by his colleagues. The formation of Umkhonto we Sizwe, for instance, was a divisive decision within the party. During his imprisonment, Mandela maintained active communication with ANC leaders, influencing important decisions and helping to guide the movement. However, the dynamic changes within the party and external pressures meant that the ANC evolved in ways that did not always align with Mandela's initial vision. Strategies of resistance and negotiation policies often sparked intense debates among members. Exploring these aspects of Mandela's relationship with the ANC is crucial to understanding the complexities of his leadership. Mandela was a pragmatic leader, willing to take difficult and sometimes unpopular decisions to achieve long-term goals. Recognizing the challenges and internal conflicts he faced within the ANC provides a deeper and more realistic appreciation of his legacy. After his release and during his presidency, Mandela had to balance the demands of the ANC with the need to govern a deeply divided nation. The transition of the ANC from a liberation movement to a ruling party brought unique challenges, including issues of corruption and political disagreements. Mandela's leadership was crucial in maintaining party cohesion during these turbulent times, but internal tensions continued to be a hallmark of South African politics. Nelson Mandela became an iconic figure in popular culture, portrayed in numerous films, books, and documentaries. These portrayals helped cement his image as a global hero of justice and equality. Movies like Invictus and Mandela, Long Walk to Freedom, highlighted aspects of his life and struggle, inspiring audiences worldwide with his resilience and vision. However, these representations often simplify his life and legacy, focusing on the most inspiring and heroic aspects while overlooking complexities and contradictions. Media narratives tend to shape Mandela according to various agendas and stories, creating an image that is, in many ways, idealized. This can lead to a limited understanding of his true influence and the challenges he faced. Analyzing how Mandela is represented in the media helps us understand how his image has been shaped over time to fit different contexts and needs. While he is rightfully celebrated as a champion of justice, it's important to remember that his life was marked by difficult decisions and moments of controversy. Recognizing these nuances provides a richer and more complete view of one of the most influential leaders in modern history. Nelson Mandela's election as South Africa's first black president in 1994 marked the beginning of a new era. His leadership was crucial in the peaceful transition from apartheid to democracy. Mandela worked to establish an inclusive constitution and promote national reconciliation, creating the Truth and Reconciliation Commission to address crimes committed during apartheid. Despite political progress, post-apartheid South Africa faced enormous socio-economic challenges. Mandela's government had to tackle high levels of poverty, unemployment, and inequality. While several affirmative action policies and social programs were implemented, the results were mixed, and many of these issues persist today, raising questions about the effectiveness of his approaches. Mandela's legacy is widely revered, but not without criticism. Some argue that he did not do enough to dismantle the economic structures inherited from apartheid, while others praise his ability to maintain peace and avoid civil war. Mandela's impact on building a united nation is undeniable, but his presidency also left challenges that still need to be addressed. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and leave a like. This helps us bring more quality content to you. And don't stop here. We have many other interesting videos waiting for you. Check out our video, Olympic gold medalist raced against horses to make money. You will be surprised by the story of an Olympic medalist who, after the Games, faced incredible and unusual challenges to support his career and family. Don't miss this fascinating story.